You can believe God's promise and still make a complete mess of everything trying to help him accomplish it. That's Genesis 27. And if you think this chapter is just about an old man getting tricked, you're missing the warning. Because this chapter shows what happens when an entire family stops trusting God and starts manipulating people instead. And the damage lasts for generations. Isaac is old now, very old. His eyesight is failing. Death feels close. And he decides it's time to give the family blessing. The blessing wasn't just sentimental words. This was inheritance, authority, leadership, the future of Abraham's family, the family God promised would bless the world. But there is a problem, a big one. God already revealed years earlier that the older son would serve the younger son. Before the twins were even born, God declared that Jacob, not Esau, would carry the covenant line. The decision had already been made. God had spoken. But Isaac seemed determined to do something else. Isaac calls for Esau, his favorite son. And that favoritism matters because it has poisoned this family for years. Isaac loved Esau. Rebekah loved Jacob. Everyone had their favorite. Everyone had their side. And now the family is about to explode because of it. Isaac tells Esau, "Go hunt game for me. Prepare my favorite meal. Then I'll bless you before I die." Notice what Isaac is doing? He's trying to pass the blessing privately, quietly, without involving anyone else, without mentioning God's earlier promise, without consulting the family. This already feels wrong. But Rebekah overhears everything, and instead of trusting God, she immediately starts plotting. Ever notice how quickly we stop praying when we think we have a better plan? Rebekah knows what God promised, but she doesn't trust God to bring it about. So she decides to help. And every time people decide to help God by sinning, disaster follows. She calls Jacob. "Quick, go get 2 goats." She prepares a meal that tastes like Isaac's favorite wild game. Then she takes Esau's clothing, places it on Jacob, and covers Jacob's hands and neck with goat skins. Because Esau was unusually hairy. Think about this scene. Everyone knows this is wrong. Rebekah knows. Jacob knows. The entire plan depends on lying. Yet they move forward anyway. Why? Because they believe the end justifies the means. And people still make that mistake today. Jacob hesitates. Not because deception is wrong, but because he is afraid of getting caught. That's important. His concern isn't morality, it's consequences. And there is a difference. Rebekah tells him she'll take the blame. So Jacob walks into his father's tent, and the deception begins. Isaac asks, "Who are you, my son?" Jacob answers, "I am Esau." A direct lie. One after another, Isaac grows suspicious. The voice sounds wrong. The timing feels wrong. Something doesn't add up. So he asks questions again and again and again. Then Isaac asks a shocking question. How did you find the game so quickly? And Jacob answers, the Lord your God gave me success. Now, he's using God's name to support his deception. The lie keeps getting deeper. Isaac touches him. The goat skins feel like Esau. He smells Esau's clothes. He hears Jacob's voice. But eventually, he convinces himself, and he gives the blessing. This is the line that changes everything. Genesis 27:29. The blessing includes authority, prosperity, dominion, the covenant future. And once spoken, it cannot simply be taken back. The blessing is given. The plan succeeds, at least for a few minutes. Then Esau arrives, and everything collapses. Esau prepares the meal, walks into his father's tent, and Isaac immediately realizes what happened. The chapter says he trembled violently. This wasn't a small shock. This was devastation. The entire family is now staring at the consequences of years of dysfunction. Esau cries out, one of the most heartbreaking moments in Genesis. He begs for a blessing. Any blessing, something, anything. But the primary blessing is gone, and Esau weeps loudly, bitterly. Now, let's be clear. Esau made his own choices. Back in Genesis 25, he treated his birthright like it was worthless. He sold it for a bowl of stew. The New Testament later points to that as a warning. So Esau is not innocent. But neither is anyone else in this story. That's what makes Genesis 27 uncomfortable. There are no heroes here. Isaac ignored God's revealed plan. Rebekah manipulated. Jacob lied. Esau despised spiritual things. Everyone contributed to the disaster. Sound familiar? Because families still do this. Favoritism, secrets, manipulation, bitterness, trying to control outcomes instead of trusting God. The details change. Human nature doesn't. Then the chapter takes an even darker turn. Esau decides he wants Jacob dead. As soon as Isaac dies, he plans to kill him. The brothers are now enemies. The family is shattered, and Jacob has to flee. The blessing was gained. But look at the cost. Jacob loses his home. His mother never appears to see him again. The family breaks apart. Years of pain follows. And this is where people miss the point. God's promise still stands. Jacob will carry the covenant line. God's plan is not defeated, but everyone involved suffers because they chose manipulation over trust. God accomplishes his purpose. Yet, people still experience the consequences of their sin. So, what does this chapter reveal about God? God's promises don't depend on human perfection. If they did, none of us would have hope. God remains faithful even when people are not. We are constantly tempted to force outcomes, to control people, to manipulate circumstances, to grab what we think God owes us. How many problems in your life started because you refused to wait? How many wounds came from trying to force something God never told you to force? Genesis 27 is not really about a stolen blessing. It's about a family that stopped trusting God. And when trust disappears, manipulation moves in. So, where do you see yourself in this chapter? Are you Isaac, ignoring what God has already said? Are you Rebekah, trying to engineer outcomes? Are you Jacob, using deception to get what you want? Or are you Esau, treating spiritual things as if they don't matter until they're gone? Because one way or another, Genesis 27 finds all of us. And it reminds us that God's faithfulness is greater than our failures. But that doesn't mean our failures come without consequence. May the truth set us all free.